that was something I brought up to Chris as well, that the shooter at Parkland was able to sneak out with the other high school students, and this seems to be a reassuring scene. Our Sky Ranger is showing people leaving the campus, we believe, of YouTube, and they're being patted down as they exit that gated area. That would mean that the authorities are able to identify if anyone is a threat. They obviously don't want anyone getting away who shouldn't be getting away, so it is quite reassuring that they're able to take such control of such a chaotic scene.
Recently, we received this training from a retired Los Angeles police officer and a Culver City police. He was up there. I want to say he was a lieutenant. But what he told us was very interesting is that priority one in these scenes is not necessarily to respond to the victims. Their first priority is to get to the shooter. And so if you think about it, if you're in one of those buildings and you're injured, these police officers might walk right by you because they're looking to get to the shooter.
Right, which makes sense because they want to minimize the impact.
Exactly. So the fact that they're patting down people perhaps is a good sign that maybe the shooter is down. Yeah. Or they have that person in custody.
I just want to make sure there was no one working with them to spread more violence.
Yeah, obviously we don't know what's happening inside the building, if the shooting did take place inside the building, or whether it was in that lunch area. If the shooting did take place inside the building, or whether it was in that lunch area earlier.
Because again, that was an assumption on my part, but our Sky Ranger showed, if you were with us about 20 minutes ago, we showed the lunch area, red umbrellas and tables and chairs just strewn about, and some police were putting down those yellow markers. So you would think that perhaps that was where some bullets flew, and they were putting the markers down of where those all fell.
Yeah, there is a lot of police activity still happening down there. We're told that our crews are actually being pushed back. They're being told to move farther and farther away as the perimeter is expanding. So perhaps we're jumping to conclusions here, and maybe there is more happening there than we can see, that we understand from our observer standpoint.
Right, and that was something that you brought up. We're not sure if this is still an active shooter situation or if it was an active shooter, and San Bruno police confirmed that they're responding to an active shooter, but we don't know if that is still in fact an active shooting scenario.
As I understand it, we have the San Bruno city manager on the phone. That's Connie Jackson. Are you there, Manager Jackson?
I am.
Good afternoon.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about what's happening today?
The only thing I can tell you at this early point in the response is that our police department, our fire department, and other agencies from throughout our area have responded to 901 Cherry, YouTube headquarters, multiple 911 calls with an active shooter. The police department is in the process of securing the area, and they have reported to me that there is no immediate danger to the public. Public is being asked to stay away so that they can complete their work without interruption. We hope to have more information that we can put out in about an hour.
Okay, and although you're told no immediate danger to the public, we have heard from people at nearby Walmart that they are under a lockdown. Have you heard the same thing? That offices nearby are all under lockdown? I am
aware of that. My understanding is about the product. They may have interested, but in the situation,
Sorry, Connie, you seem to be breaking up, so we missed the last bit of what you were saying there.
My understanding is the situation continuing on Cherry. That's across the street from the Walmart building, but it's my understanding that there is no continuing immediate threat to the public in the vicinity.
Do you know if your city of San Bruno had a training put in place for scenarios like this?
Absolutely, yes. The police department has trained and coordinates on a regular basis with critical facilities in our community relative to active shooter situations.
How big is your police department? How many officers, theoretically, if everybody responded, how many officers would be on the ground today?
Well, we had how many officers are on duty and how many officers we have are two different things. Approximately 8 or 10 police officers on duty. We have a total of sworn reports of about 45, 50 officers.
And I don't know if I missed when you said this, or if this was when the phone was breaking up. But Connie, were you able to find out if this is still an active shooter, or if the shots were fired? We heard shots fired. Witnesses told us around 10 till 1, which would have been more than an hour ago now. Do you know if the shots are still being fired?
No, my understanding is that the shooting is not continuing. There was an active shooter situation that began right about that time, maybe just a little bit earlier.
You heard that same thing about 15 minutes, around 12:45?
Correct. That's correct.
Okay.
So we're seeing live pictures right now of people who are walking through an intersection, some of whom have their hands up on their heads as if to not be able to reach for a weapon. I imagine it's a command from law enforcement. So what's your understanding of what happens next, Manager Jackson?
So the police department, having made entry to the building, will need to conduct an initial investigation to determine whether there are victims, where they are, and to make sure that the situation is completely secured. We will provide additional information in approximately an hour once we have it.
And when you talk about the situation being secured, we initially had heard that this was happening at the YouTube headquarters, but now we're hearing that there may be multiple locations. Can you confirm that?
I cannot. That is not. I have not been informed of that. I do not believe that is correct.
Okay. That's good to know. We're piecing together probably as much as you are at this point. I would imagine
Right.
You're a little bit in the dark with such a chaotic scene.
We
Right.
had heard, Manager Jackson, that there were several people who were transported to Stanford Hospital, maybe 4 to 5, an additional 3 or possibly more to San Francisco General. What do you know about the extent of those injured and the extent of their injuries?
So I heard the same thing from the media, but I have no information to confirm numbers of injuries or transports to any medical facilities.
Well, Connie Jackson, San Bruno City Manager, we want to thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today, and we wish the best to your city.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Okay.
All right, so you can see live pictures now from Sky Ranger. We're looking at about 1 hour and 10 minutes now since shots were reported fired near or at the YouTube headquarters in San Bruno. The YouTube headquarters in San Bruno. The location, you can see it on the map there on the screen, in between 101 and 280, off of 380. The actual location, 900 Cherry Avenue at the intersection of Cherry and, what was it, Bay? Forgive me, I forgot the cross street there, but Cherry Avenue, 900 block. There it is, so it's Bay Hill Drive. So Cherry Avenue and Bay Hill Drive.
And we're going to head over now to Anusha Rasta, who is live on the scene.
Here you go, yep.
Hi, Anusha, what are you seeing out there?
Hi, I'm sorry guys, I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing you, I apologize for that. We are seeing a very heavy police presence at the intersection. It begins at the intersection of Cherry and San Bruno. So if you look behind me, you'll see a number of police cars and fire trucks from a number of different agencies. And it starts again at that intersection of Cherry and San Bruno. So police and law enforcement, they are urging folks to stay away from this area because as you can see, there is a lot of activity here. They have put up a lot of this yellow crime tape, and we're seeing a ton of people from surrounding businesses coming out here and gathering around, sort of taking a look at what's going on. It's tough to see exactly down the road, of course, because there are so many of these vehicles blocking the way. But again, what we are seeing are all these police officers and these vehicles, a lot of flashing lights. Now, I have been in touch with a few folks on social media, folks who say that they are inside of the YouTube headquarters, inside of the offices there. They are reporting a number of different stories. Of course, these are unconfirmed at this point, but from what we've gathered so far from folks who say that they are in there, that the building is on lockdown, that at some point earlier this afternoon, about an hour, maybe 2 hours ago, that they heard a fire alarm go off, and then it sort of escalated from there, and there was gossip and sort of, information going around that this was an active shooter situation. Since then, we have learned that there have been reports of shots fired. So at this point, what we think is it may have started as some sort of fire alarm going off. Again, law enforcement has not confirmed that for us, but that's what I'm hearing from folks who I'm talking to on social media. One guy told me that he was hiding out in a closet, that at this point they had no interaction with law enforcement, but through text messaging and social media on his end, that he was hearing from coworkers that there is a heavy police presence. We are, of course, outside of the building, close to that YouTube headquarters, and we are seeing, in fact, just that. So again, another look for you. A lot of people seemingly worried and concerned about what's going on down the road here. This is Cherry, that what you're looking at. It's Cherry moving away from the San Bruno intersection, and again, that's where the roadblock begins. So we are, of course, going to gather more information for you. We'll bring it to you as soon as we get it. We're going to talk to some folks out here, see if they saw anything, heard anything, and at this point, no information about this alleged gunman, who this person may be, a motive. It's very early in the investigation, as we imagine, to answer those questions, but of course, we're on top of it for you, and we'll check back in as soon as we have another update.
And there were people in the background there, Anusha. We want to reiterate what San Bruno police are saying.